the interconnecting pore space. The law of fluid mechanics is. So we need to clear the concept of hydraulic head and fluid potentials, because these concept involves uh, few things. Analytically we all aware of that, but for the clarity to understand about the groundwater flow in a complex geomining condition or a heterogeneous rock formation, we should clear the concept first. It is also necessary to understand this aspect. The last two class we have discussed at length the hydraulic conductivity. From the concept hydraulic conductivity, you have already understood that this hydraulic conductivity basically uh, gives an estimation about the rough flow patterns. But how flows occurs? We have already introduced the concept of viscosity. So when we are assuming the concept of viscosity, suppose there is a paste, toothpaste, any toothpaste, and there is a mug of water. Now both you are pouring on a particular pot. Okay, so you are pressing the paste tube, and you are also pressing a tube that contains water, and you can see the flow patterns in the both cases. You will observe for a paste, the flow pattern is slow, is very slow. Whereas for a fluid, if you press with the tube with the mug, the flow will occur smoothly. What does it indicate? It indicates that for a more viscous fluid, flow pattern is not high in a same hydraulic head difference or the same potential I have applied. So it depends. So this is due to the fluid property. Think of a situation when in a rock, the interconnectivity of the pore space is not also homogeneous, also not homogeneous. So if it is not homogeneous, then definitely the response in X direction, response in Y direction, response in Z direction should necessarily be different. Should necessarily be different. So it is anisotropic. It is not isotropic at all, the hydraulic conduct. Then if it is so, then we need to understood uh, the concept of hydraulic conductivity in this kind of complex rock in 3D terms and as well as in tensor terms. Suppose exactly flow in x direction and in relation to xy there should be a gradient if the flow pattern is different. So we will get 3 by 3 matrix, the diagonal only purely x directional, but there will be difference to xy, xz, yx, zx. So these are the things we should know and we should clear the doubts. So before going into that details, we must know what is the hydraulic head actually means. Let us concentrate on that. So today we will learn hydraulic head and frequency. Now, if I draw a curve, close it. Now this is the water level here. Water level. Here also there is one another water level. There is a pressure acting on that. What is this pressure? What the pressure is acting on this water column? Can anybody say?
Atmosphere
Huh?
atmosphere pressure.
Yeah, atmosphere. It is P0. Okay. P0 is the atmospheric pressure acting on point A. Now point B. What is the pressure acting on point B? Anybody?
Gamma H.
Gamma is due to what?
Rho GH.
Rho GH. Yes. So these basically this pressure, if I assume delta P, it will be delta P plus P0. Okay, because atmospheric pressure plus this will act here. Similarly, for a point C, it is also at the outside. Atmospheric. Now, this is basically then flow will occur. If I pour some amount of water, it will not occur any. It is a close, enclose one. enclose a pot, so flow will not occur. But if I open it somewhere else, flow will occur in this. Similarly, if I open it here, flow will occur in this direction. So representative is flow is occurring from higher gradient to lower. Now my question is, what is this gradient actually means? What is this gradient actually means? Okay. This gradient actually means that if you measure the screen is visible now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now the gradient is actually means that if a water flow is occurring in a pipe, to measure the gradient here, it should be remain same. It should remain same. Ideal case, in ideal case, in ideal case, ideal case, the potential here, if I measure using a nanometer, it will remain same. And if a flow is occurring in this flow is occurring due to this pressure gradient from the higher one, the lower one. But we should also know that there is also a loss. There is also loss. When there is a water is acting, a flow is occurring, there is a friction loss. Yeah. Friction loss. Okay. Also, when a flow is occurring, in this direction, in between the layers, there is a resistance, and to overcome that resistance, there is also another kind of loss. So this potential needs to be understood in that concept that this potential is include this loss, this head and totality. So this potential, concept of potential is very important. This concept of potential is very important in all flow, starting from electricity, heat. These are the everyday matter we always observe. Electricity also flowing from higher gradient, higher potential to lower. It is also flowing from the higher one to the lower one. This basically indicates it is basically the voltage here. And here it is temperature. So this potential indicates any location, at any location, mechanical energy per unit mass, per unit mass of fluid per unit mass of fluid, and where the mechanical energy will be high and where the mechanical energy will be low, flow will occur in that direction only. Now the question is how we can measure that? How we can measure that? Have anybody have measured the potential in fluid mechanics lab? Can anybody remember? Can anybody remember that you have measured the potential? Hari?
Sir, I don't remember. Sir.
So it is uh, basically the mechanical force we are going to measure. Basically the mechanical force we are going to measure. So in a flow,
Sir, manometer, sir.
huh?
Is it a manometer, sir?
Yeah, right. So the flow process is basically involves the flow process involve. So it should overcome the frictional force between the porous media. This is the media layer. It should overcome the mechanical force and the friction force to overcome. And that when we are overcoming this friction, it will generate thermal energy. It will generate thermal energy. Now we are coming into the term of energy. So this is basically when water flow is occurring, there is a work. Work is done. How the work is done? Because work is done in the sense the mechanical energy required, mechanical energy, mechanical energy required per unit mass, okay, to move from point 1 to point 2. Okay. So the distance is traversed is basically the energy. So elevation starting from this point, this is point number 2. Okay. Here the Z is Z dash. Point number 1, the head is Z, only Z. Okay. So here is the elevation for the first case, basically the Z1, Z dash. Pressure is P and the velocity is V. Density is rho and the volume L, volume is capital V for the first case. It's here. This initial point Z is equal to 0. Pressure is P0, that is atmospheric pressure. Then the velocity is V0, initial velocity is maybe 0, V0 may be equal to 0. Density rho 0 and volume is also 0. So the fluid potential fluid potential is equal to the mechanical energy, okay, per unit mass. Per unit mass is equal to work to move unit mass. So this is the things we should remember. Now let's things of a condition. Let's take a condition. Suppose there is a pipe. Uh, there is a pipe. Pipe. Now this is a datum on which we are analyzing. We will measure. This is the here. This is the here. Okay. Measure this. This. This is HP1. This is HP2. This is Z2. This is Z1. And Q amount of flow is occurring. So now, if we calculate the fluid potential, it is, we have already understood mechanical energy per unit mass. Mechanical energy per unit mass of fluid potential at Z dash is equal to fluid potential at datum plus work from Z dash. The earlier picture we have shown flow is occurring from Z to Z dash. Now this work involves, when we are talking about the work involves, this work actually involves three components. What is the first component? First component is work to lift the force. Work to lift the mass. Work to lift the mass. It is basically W2 is equal to mg Z dash. where z equal to 0, we have assumed the initial case. But the second component is what to accelerate fluid. What to accelerate fluid from initial V0, V is equal to 0, V0 is equal to V0 to V dash basically equals to W2 is equal to half mv square. Half mv square. Third is work to raise fluid pressure from P0 to, or the P0 is a 0, P is equal to P0 P is equal to P0 to P. That actually W3, this is W1, W3 is equal to P0 to P integration over volume P, or this can also be written as M P by M P0 can also be written as M by V if we can take. So it is basically M P0 to P dP divided by rho. So M by V is equal to rho, that is density. Okay, so now if my M is unit mass, then basically the rho is 1 by V. You can also assume that. So if it is true, so total potential is coming phi is equal to Gz. Mgz was initial M, I assume unit mass. Unit mass M is equal to 1. Gz plus mv square by 2, v square by 2, and plus P0 by rho. This is the fundamental equation used everywhere for the fluid potential. Okay, this is fluid potential. Now, this term, you can see V squared divided by 2. You all can remember that we have assumed that flow in a rock course is basically laminar, and velocity of the movement of the water flow is very, very small. And if that component is very, very small, the square of that value will be too small again, too small again. So basically, for hydraulic uh, flow in a porous layer, we generally ignore this term. Or you can say it is not so important, for the groundwater flow, G flow, groundwater flow. But the equation remains the same. So if I take a measurement, suppose this is a pipe, and I'm going to measure it with nanometer. The nanometer I can determine the head. So here it is the head, okay, and here it is the datum. So I can determine this Z easily from the height, and this is basically the phi component. So here at measurement, E is equal to rho g, that is the depth, plus P0. So the P is basically Pz into depth. This depth is basically rho g phi plus P0. You can also write is equal to rho g x minus z plus P0. Okay. Now we have already learned this phi value is this can also be written as Gz plus v square by 2, and pressure developed from P to P0 to P. So it is basically, this is integration. So P minus P0 divided by rho in simplified form. Now neglect this velocity term, to be Gz plus this P is basically what? This P is basically this part. So rho g h minus z, rho g h minus z plus P0 minus P0 divided by rho is basically coming phi is equal to, finally this equation will come finally, rho is equal to gh, rho is equal to gh, or h is equal to phi by g. This is equal to phi by d. So this head is basically fluid potential. Okay. So the flow is always from higher potential to lower potential. H is energy per unit weight. This H is basically also energy per unit weight. So H we can directly measure. This directly measurement is basically Z plus phi. You can measure directly. So this is a measurable quantity. We can do that. Now similarly, a small concept we should also know along with that is basically the thermal potential. This thermal potential is basically actually these kind of things always arise when there is a geothermal gradient, a temperature difference in the rock, and due to that in the volcanic areas or in the some kind of rock, there is a reaction is going on. Some spring is there. That water is basically heated one. Okay, so that also actually drives water to flow. So this can be represented. The phi is basically presented as phi g and phi p. So here we generally measure the specific discharge. This cases. This is the Q dash is equal to minus L1 by L minus L2 L P by LL minus L3 LC by LL. This is the equation we use. Now, think about a concept that we have introduced in the first few minutes. That is the heterogeneity. Heterogeneity in the rock. So, if we want to consider that heterogeneity, we should consider the three-dimensional flow condition, 3D flow condition. So, what is happening? K, the permeability, hydraulic conductivity, we have determined that is for a one directional flow, maybe horizontal flow or maybe vertical flow. Now, if this is different, then we have, if it is initially if it is equal, then we always use this term del H del X for the y minus k del H del y, the z minus k del H del Z. But if it is a directional property, then from the gradient, this gradient will be, there is a flow due to this gradient flow, there will be, it will be converted to a tensor quantity. Then the tensor quantity value will be like this. It will take the shape of a complex equation. So Qx equal to minus Kxx del H del X plus Kxy. The first term represents the direction in which the flow occurs, and the second term indicates the gradient in the respective direction. Y Kxz del H divided by del Z. Similarly, for the Qy minus Qy x del H del X minus K y del H del Y minus del K yz del H by del Z. To Z is minus K zx H del X K yz del H del Y minus K zz del H divided by del Z. Now, if we want to interpret that, basically, it will be like this. So it is a flow, the flow occurring the x and y direction like that. If there is a gradient, then the flow will be like this. This is x direction, x, this is y, and in this direction there is a flow. There is a flow, but in between that, due to this gradient is there, in this direction it is kxx, kyy, and these two quantity is not equal. That is why there is a gradient. Flow will occur in this direction. But if it is a if it is equal, then over kxx over kyy is basically 1, and flow is always occurring in this direction. Okay. So it give rise to the concept of another equation, that is the q bar basically equals to minus a double bar del operator del h. This operator del is very significant, comes from the Laplacian formula. This del k double is the matrix. This k matrix is basically kxx, k xy, k xz, k yx, k zx, k yy, k zy, k yz, k zz. Okay. Basically q or x, y, z into del h, del x, del h, del y, del h, del z. So this k, this is the principal direction. This is the principal direction. So if we ignore this gradient term, the principal direction remains kxx, kyy, kzz. Then we can determine accordingly the value. Now, based on this concept, we can derive the relationship is called effective hydraulic conductivity. This is the final concept of this discussion. That is the effective hydraulic conductivity. This is a very important topic. The fluid mechanics in the groundwater flow, effective hydraulic conductivity. Active research is going on how to derive those analytical formulae, how to solve those analytical formulae. Because this equation involve non-linearity, but if we consider other things and ignore few things, this can be derived like this. This is a this is Q1. This is total is Q total. And there is a height difference between this is basically del H total UT. Length is L total. Then we can determine Q total is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Q4. This can be written as del H divided by del X L1 Q1 del H divided by del X L2 A2 plus del H divided by del X L3 A3 plus del H divided by del X L4 A4. We sum it up, del H divided by del X summation over L1 A1 Li Ai. I varies from 1 to n. Okay. This formula is written as H divided by del X L total into A effective permeability, effective hydraulic conductivity because A effective hydraulic conductivity is equal to Li by divided by summation Li. I is equal to 1 to n is equal to 1. So this term basically equals to L total multiplied by A effective. So this is the original formula. Q total is equal to now del H divided by del X L total A effective permeability. This is the concept. Same concept can also be enumerated a slightly different configuration. Here it is head difference is relevant. H1, H2, H3, H4. If it is so, head difference in this direction and flow is occurring in this direction. So flow is same for both for all the cases, but head difference is there between different layers. Same thing can be derived. Same thing can be derived as L total is equal to A effective equal to summation over L divided by AI. I is equal to. So this is basically the analytical formula. Based on that, different experiment is fabricated in different laboratories now, and they are testing and determining the K effective expression in nearly perfect form, and that is the equation calculation is going on still, a very active domain of research. So this is basically the concept, effective uh, hydraulic conductivity for a complex uh, rock mass. Complex rock mass when the directional flow is occurring, means directional gradient is occurring, because the gradient, the flow, the x direction, flow in the y direction, flow in the z direction is not one and equal, and there is a gradient difference. So this is all about today's lecture. Now I request all of you to raise hand and ask me the question so that I can answer one by one and clear the doubts. Okay, Ajay.
No, sir. No, no, sir. Clear.
Anybody have any doubt?
Sir, I just want to know, by calculating all this, what we will find out in our ultimate aim, sir.
Okay, you refine your question and put.
Sir,
you tell me the question again so that I can understand. Okay.
Sir. At the final end, what we will conclude by doing these calculations? What we will find out?
Okay. Our purpose is to find out a concept that is effective hydraulic conductivity. Now, in the last class, we have learned that the Darcy's experiment shows us how to determine hydraulic conductivity. Suppose for a sand material or a kind of well-graded material. If it is a well-graded material, then the preferential direction more or less equal. So we measure the horizontal hydraulic conductivity. We can also reverse the tube and we can measure the vertical conductivity. If the rock is homogeneous and isotropic, then the hydraulic conductivity in this direction, hydraulic conductivity in this direction will be equal. It is expected, but not so in a real scenario. And more so for a heavily fractured, artificially fractured, and comprises of large number of geological discontinuity. In those cases, you cannot do the experiment just like we have done in the lab or following the Darcian experiment. You cannot do that. So analytically, we should have a solution. And I have tried to show you those paths, the line of approach. By applying that, we can measure the effective permeability or effective hydraulic conductivity. I have already told you that the active research is going on. I will show you one of the paper. People are working on that. 1 minute. It's a very active research going on. So, your interest screen. Now, can you see a paper? Effective hydraulic conductivity of a randomly heterogeneous porous media?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So they are actually trying to formulate an analytical solution and they are trying to solve it for a complex rock. But they are basically following some norms. That norms I have explained. Another paper you can see, I am showing you. This is also another paper. They are doing a study on effective hydraulic conductivity of an anisotropic porous material. They are doing experiment and fabricating that and then testing it, whether the formula remains valid or not. So I have tried to show you the paths. If anyone interested to do any research in that direction, I will provide you those papers. So this is basically the simplified expression how to approach the problem to determine the effective hydraulic conductivity. Is it clear, Tarun?
Yes.
Mansi? Any question? Natavar?
No, sir.
Okay. So thank you all. So tomorrow we will meet again and we will discuss the onward topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
So today we have a lab at 3 p.m. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.